Yo, and welcome back to Stats 7 Sports. I'm the Contained Kunas, and we now have the impact, a bit more of an impact of what the Big Ten's rid of their non-conference schedule is going to end up doing to everybody else. So, pretty much we're going to have all 14 teams of the Big 12. They're going to lose their 3 non-conference games, and we're going to get the ACC likely to do the very same, even though that hasn't been fully official yet. So, for the Big Ten, you're going to be losing games like the Oregon-Ohio State. You're going to be losing Wisconsin against Notre Dame and Lambeau Field, amongst others. And then you're going to get all those non-conference games with the kind of mid-majors, Power 5 teams, all the ones that have the Division II FCS games. You're not going to see any of those cupcake games this year. And for a lot of those teams, they thrive on their season with their athletic foundation for each of those schools. They get a flat check from these big colleges, the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Penn States, and all that. They get a flat check off of that. You go the same way if you go SEC, LSU, Alabama, all that. All the non-conference, they get flat fees off of it to schedule those games and get them to come to your stadiums. Which, with some teams, because of the athletic impact that a bunch of other schools, especially in those non-Power 5 conferences, have in their athletics, like how much they're not the big, they're not going to get the big sellout games that you get from like the Tennessee, LSU, Alabama, Clemson, all the ones that can expect those 100,000s. You're not going to get that from like an Ohio, or if you go from an LSU game, you're not going to get that from a Texas San Antonio or a Rice. So, very likely that's going to end up going to all of those. It's probably going to end up going to all of the Power 5 conferences, to where each of the Power 5 conferences are probably very likely to go to just only conference-only games, where, Big Ten, Pac-12, Big 12, they have 9 conference games. When you have ACC, SEC, only having 8. So, in that case, they'll probably have to adjust off of that to be able to get to where at least they'll be playing 9 games. Now, there is the potential to where there is thoughts where you think that some local teams with those Power 5 conferences could still be able to get some of those games in. Like LSU could still play Nichols. You could still get like the South, potentially like maybe a Florida State, but probably not, just because that's a Power 5. But yeah, you might be able to get like a Texas against Texas San Antonio stuff, things like that. But it's not going to get to where you're going to have a full 12-game schedule, 11-12 game season, conference championship, and then bowl games and playoffs. At this point, you can only really expect it to be just the conference games, all non-conference being wiped out. Very likely going to be eventually, you're not going to get that LSU-Texas matchup in Tiger Stadium. Hopefully that will get rescheduled to a different season, to where that just doesn't get wiped out completely. Speaking of games that have been decided to be moved off of that, there's been talks. I mentioned Wisconsin against Notre Dame at Lambeau Field. There are representatives on both teams with both athletic foundations that have been trying to reschedule that for a further year on, and to be able to get that still to be a factor, because that's going to be a big monetary gain for each of those schools. Now, for the non-Power 5 conferences, it does make it very difficult, because yes, a lot of their athletic revenue and a lot of the revenue for schools comes based off of those big team matchups that they get. They'll get a few, depending on the team, they'll get a few $100,000 to a couple $1 million worth in each of those games. Now, you have seen a bit of impact in the Pac-12 where, they're not going to get their full money. They're not going to be able to get money for it on a college that really gets a bunch of their money on endowment. You've had Stanford decide to get rid of 11 of their 25 athletic sports competitions, athletic fall teams, for the fact that yes, it's going to be like Stanford doesn't make a huge amount of money on their athletics, even though their football is, especially whenever they had Andrew Luck, was quite a solid brand for it. But you're going to see in some of the Power Fives, like the Tulane, you can see like Ohio, all the ones that would normally end up relying on those big money games, there's potential that you won't be able to get, that a lot of these teams are going to have to get rid of those programs, because potentially football programs and other athletic programs, for the fact that they can't afford it, because they've set aside so much money on their athletic budget that because of COVID and because they're realizing they have to cut back, it's not going to be reasonable for them to be able to keep up with that. And now, I do believe that you're still going to get a season of a kind for college football. You'll probably have each Power 5 conference playing inside their own conference, and you're probably going to get those non-Power 5 teams also playing within those conferences, within their own conferences. And depending on how long COVID goes, it could end up making it to where you still have the conference championship games, and then we'll see on what happens with bowls and the playoff. So that's gonna be one thing that's gonna be interesting. Where are we still gonna get those? Are we still gonna be able to get like a 11-12 game season before the postseason, or are we gonna base everybody's playoff chances off of those 8 to 9 conference games that all of them have, as the SEC has to end up catching up a game with everyone else? So you might end up getting SEC West playing another SEC East team, or an SEC East playing another SEC West team, or you may end up getting basically a rent-a-win against whatever local competition that you have. So let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. If y'all enjoy this, I'll try to keep up with a few more things that end up happening once we end up getting more information on this. Once we get more information as spring training in baseball's just getting started, everyone's starting to go into their respective bubbles. Same thing with the NBA going into their last 8 games towards their playoffs in Orlando, and the other 8 teams not included in that Orlando bubble that's expected to be in Chicago. And if any other questions, comments you want to ask me, please leave in the comments down below. And yeah, if you enjoy it, please like, subscribe, share it out to other people. I do appreciate it, and hope to give y'all more content whenever anything comes up. With that being said, thank y'all for watching. Y'all stay safe. This is Stat 7 Sports. I'm Contain Kunas. Y'all stay safe. See y'all next time.